DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. Time to welcome Greg Wrubell back to the show. BYU play-by-play voice. Greg, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Are you no longer greeted at the grocery store with, who's the quarterback going to be? Who's the quarterback going to be? People opening random conversations with you around town now with something different, mixing it up for you?
It's about time.
You'd heard enough?
That's all I've talked about. It's all I've talked about for the last 2 months, it seems like.
Yeah, and here we are. And it is, to me, it was expected. I thought that was what it was going to be. I've been saying for weeks the other two were brought in to be to provide depth, and Bachmeier was going to be, if he's going to be the starter in 26, get him out there, especially now the way the schedule is. You know, back in the just a few years back, being an independent, that you were better off targeting Zach Wilson later in the season, but now it's flipped. You know, the easier games are at the front, and the harder games go forward. And I think too, you know, you look back to when some other freshmen played. I think the most important thing, and get your thought on this, is the state of the program. And I think the state of the program is such in a good spot that if you're ever going to do it now, because coaching staff is intact, veteran players, both sides of the ball, special teams have been such a huge difference maker. You got a phenomenal kicker and all that. So, yeah, do it now. So it's something that I sign off 100% on. And obviously, you have the chance to respond to that.
Yeah, it's a pretty good runway for the rookie. Let's start with the pedigree and just the fact that, you know, pretty much every big-name school in the country wanted to crack at him when he came out of high school in Marietta. I mean, BYU doesn't always end up with that kind of quarterback. It just so happens they might end up with back-to-back quarterbacks like that with Ryder Lyons in the pipeline now. But this is a different level of talent that BYU's been asked and been able to develop now from the get-go. And so, you know, just from that alone, you're dealing with a pretty impressive set of credentials before he's even played an FBS snap. And then when you add to it, you know, the traits that helped convince the coaches he was the right guy for the job, including, you know, his maturity and ability to synthesize the playbook quickly and lead a team even as a young kid. It's an exciting time for BYU, even though, you know, 2 months ago didn't look so exciting with the loss of a senior starting quarterback. But if that's going to be your situation, it's about as good a resolution as you could hope for. Somebody with Bachmeier's talent level, the ability he's had to get in the mix quickly and accelerate sharply. And now the runway includes, you know, 3 games that, you know, not to look past anyone, but they're manageable, right? Portland State and Stanford and ECU. You'd like to think that there's enough around Bear to guide him through any growing pains he might experience here in the first month and still get some positive outcomes on the field. And you know, before Big 12 play gets underway. And I'd certainly prefer that someone like Bear, you know, have some experience before being dropped, say, into the middle of the Big 12 wars in October. Yeah. And so, yeah, there are a lot of reasons to like the way the decision was resolved by Coach Kalani and Aaron Roderick and ultimately the staff along with Bear, showing that he could do it on the field. They weren't trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes in their team room. They weren't trying to shoehorn this kid into a spot. He went out day to day and showed why he was the right choice.
So with that in mind, and knowing quarterback is the most important position in team sports, rather than ask you, you know, what you think the team's going to do and how many games they're going to win, if everything goes right, what's the ceiling? If lots goes wrong, what is the floor?
Well, I would hope the floor is still postseason play. I really do think that there's enough around this team, besides the quarterback position, to get BYU back into postseason play. But that would be a floor for me. I think the ceiling could be an expectation that they find themselves in the same vicinity as they did last year, contending for, you know, a Big 12 regular season championship and a spot in the title game in Arlington. Last year's team wasn't too highly thought of when the year began. And by the end of it, there they were with the best record in the Big 12 and in conference play, losing out on a tiebreaker. You know, the level of quarterback play they got that year was certainly adequate. It wasn't exceptional, but it was certainly adequate. The places that were exceptional were defense and special teams. And a lot of those, you know, expectations can be, I think, held over from one season to the next. I think BYU's got a lot of room to improve with its offensive categories from last season to this. Less room to improve with defense and special teams. They were already operating at a pretty high level. I think if the offense can simply come up to where the defense and special teams were performing last year, BYU can have another exceptional season. And I really do think that Bear Bachmeier unlocks some interesting potentials at quarterback. He's a pretty impressive physical piece of this puzzle back there. And if he can stay healthy and be like Jake was last year, let's not overlook the fact that Jake Retzlaff was an every game starter for BYU. Those kinds of seasons have been few and far between recently, where your number one quarterback is a guy 12, 13 weeks. That doesn't often happen. But if it happens with BYU and Bear Bachmeier this year, I think good things can happen.
How much do you think the Big 12 membership has been a difference maker for BYU and not just football?
I think it was maybe the second major step in the process of putting BYU to where it is right now, that is as a nationally relevant or prominent player in multiple sports. I think actually independence was step one. And you might look at independence, or some might see it as a bit of a drawback period, but I really think it was a pretty brave and forward-thinking move at the time. There were things within independence that really helped BYU be ready for Big 12 play. The national visibility they maintained with their ESPN contract, the ability they had to craft a schedule, including a lot of power conference opponents, was another big element in having them be ready to compete as a Big 12 player. And so I think independence is step one, and I think Big 12 membership is step two, and I think step three now is the new set of rules regarding resources, NIL, and revenue sharing we're now in. BYU's been able to meet the task in all three phases. They haven't really fallen down on any one of those three steps I just mentioned, and now they're operating on a level playing field, in some instances, maybe a superior playing field in some ways, and can expect to be competitive as long as they keep attracting the right people for the programs and the institution. They can expect this to be a period of prosperity.
I do believe the SEC and Big Ten spend a lot of time trying to send the message, we are the only legitimate college football leagues, the rest of you suck. And I do think that message is sticking to a certain degree. I can't help but notice that in both the coaches and media polls, there's only one Big 12 team, Arizona State, who got the votes to be in playoff territory. And for everybody else, it's prove it. Do you feel like even though the brand has changed to the Big 12, that the local teams are in a better place? Or does it feel like they're constantly in the best of the prove it leagues, no matter what league they're in, no matter what decade we're talking about? Because you and I and PK have all been around long enough to talk about at least 4 decades pretty deeply. Yeah,
I still think power conference football resonates. And yes, I mean, the gap or the chasm is projected to be widening primarily because of the constant, battering of the PR machine on behalf of those two conferences. But I still think that power conference football is something separate from the rest of the country, and we're seeing it, and we'll continue to see it in dramatic fashion. I mean, G6 teams are becoming, in some instances, feeder programs for the big clubs, and it'll be rare that you see a 4-year senior All-American type player come out of G6 programs in the future. They simply won't last that long there. If you're that good, you'll be gone. It's also rare that a team would have to rely on a true freshman quarterback to open a season at a power conference level, because power conference programs are going to stack their teams with junior and senior quarterbacks and just keep that flywheel rotating year to year through the portal. They wouldn't need to drop down and have to use a freshman like BYU is doing. Now, BYU happens to be, in a best case scenario, considering the fact they got a guy like Bear Bachmeier, but that's not going to be the norm at a power conference program. All of that being said, we're probably not done with what power conference membership is going to look like over the next decade. But I think BYU, if there are more shifts to come, is as positively positioned as it ever has been to be included in whatever the highest level of football is. Sure, the Big Ten and the SEC would like to allocate themselves X number of spots for a CFP every year, but they were also allocating multiple spots to the ACC and the Big 12. And if you were to believe, the coaches who believe that only one Big 12 team is playoff worthy, well, getting at least two every year would be something more than the Big 12 is guaranteed of right now. We all know that Brett Yormark's counter to it, and I probably do side with him, is that, let's earn it on the field and take as many spots as we can. But I don't think that the Big 12 and the ACC or its best teams are in danger of falling into some, nether region or some middle tier that's something lower than power conference football. Even if there is a shift, and even if there are teams to be poached and a bigger grouping made of power conference programs, I think BYU is positioned to be included in whatever that next amalgamation looks like.
You're a BYU lifer and can speak to this about how they would try to do more with less, that type of thing, and talking to coaches who'd come and gone, and the resources that were available there versus what BYU was substantially different. Now you look at the programs, particularly the two major sports in basketball and football, and they're right there. And I don't think they should make any apologies for it. I know that's been somewhat of a conversation piece. They're in it to win it, and they're going to pay the going rate essentially. But, from my time being in here to see where they are to where they are now, particularly with basketball, obviously, it sort of blows me away. And what do you think about it?
Yeah, it's actually kind of nice to be shedding the label of, scrappy underdog, if you will.
Yeah.
Because I do think that, BYU was probably as, most closely approximated a power conference program without the label for, a pretty long time. It just so happens now that they are planning to and have the resources to be competitive in an era where everybody is expected to contribute, resources at a very high level. It's not mandatory. Not everybody has to reach this revenue sharing plateau, but BYU certainly plans to and have the resources to do. And they're also getting a lot. I mean, they've also succeeded in the first couple of years of the Big 12 without getting a full share, right? I mean, they've also been operating at something less than a full tank, and now that changes as well. So I think it's just kind of fortuitous. Everything kind of happened in a span of 3 or 4 or 5 years that allowed BYU to go from, the plucky would-be to now a member of the club and has the ability and the resources to stay there. I don't think you're ever going to see BYU throw out the tenets of its mission or its existence at a win-all-costs scenario. There's always going to have to be the question of fit. It would be unwise to not stick to that, and I think they are sticking to that. I think even one and dones that might come through campus are going to come and leave with a positive experience of their time at BYU. Yegor Demin, AJ DeBonsa, they may not be long-term residents of campus, but I think they're going to leave with something that they can share with others that's very positive. I think we've already seen that with Yegor. Even Jake, his time at BYU was relatively brief, and the way he left, nobody would argue was a positive thing, and yet he has nothing but positive things to say about his time at BYU, the people, the coaches, the community, the way he was treated. And that was a guy that could have reasons to kind of put up blinders and say, I'm not going to address that part of my career or that place or whatever the case may be. But that's not what you heard from him. And so I think as long as BYU is still attracting and bringing in those kinds of people who may not be members of the sponsoring faith, you can, I think, have your cake and eat it too at BYU in this new era. And that's what I hope to see over the years to come.
A lot of fans have a lot of different opinions on what should happen with the football stadium. Some think just stay the way it is. It's going great. Others would like to see the corners filled in, maybe with premium seats. Maybe you have to redo the ends to do that. Talk about a new stadium at some point on the old Provo High campus, but now there's other plans for that maybe as well. What is the best case scenario for a football facility to keep BYU in as good a position as possible from the facilities point of view?
Oh, I really haven't had this be a top-of-mind thing personally, but I think there are some cosmetic things that it's probably that are probably due. I don't know. Maybe you'd want to sell the stadium out. Literally, like have it be sold out for years and years and years in a row before you consider that to be an essential thing relative to expansion we're talking about. But in terms of cosmetics and aesthetics and some renovations or major touch-ups, yeah, I think we're probably due. I came to BYU in 1984. And I believe it was 82 when the end zones were finally constructed. So it's been 40 plus years since the last major addition to the stadium. The press box was also new at that time, the expanded press box. So yeah, if you go 40 years, and there have been some important hosting improvements made in recent years in the way the seating's configured and special premium hospitality areas for corporate sponsors and things like that. That's not an unimportant thing at all. But I think, you could look at probably, giving yourself a bit of an updated look without having to, totally start from scratch and build a new stadium. But I guess I haven't, thought that this is just too small of a building now. Maybe you'd want to see it, packed to the gills for a few years before you say it really has to be expanded. That said, I think the atmosphere in that building is second to none when that place is full and rocking. And I don't think it lacks for anything when you see what you see on a late Friday or Saturday night.
Do you know anyone who celebrates their birthday and wedding anniversary on the same day?
Just a select few of us who want to take out the hassle of having to remember your anniversary every year.
Did you plan that?
It was pretty coincidental, actually. It just turned out that way. It was literally the last Saturday before I was going to have to go back to school at BYU, and it just worked out that was going to be the best date. And so I got married on my birthday.
And you don't get cheated, though. You don't feel like you get ripped off.
No. It's just a day replete with joy and frivolity.
I know when she said replete, it was going to be a big finish. All right, Greg, we appreciate it as always. Thanks for joining us and talking a little Cougar football.
You bet. And not that women ever forget their spouse's birthdays, but now she has no excuse to ever forget my birthday. So it kind of goes both ways.
Right,
but, Guys, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Greg Wrubell, BYU play-by-play broadcaster. When did you come up with that random factoid?
I'd heard it somewhere. I don't remember where.
That's funny. DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. What'd you miss in this show? Tons. What's happened over the last 3.5 hours? Incredible stuff. We'll get to it next. Stay with us.
Blue 58! You patiently waited and waited and waited. And now it's here. It's college football season. As the Cougars, Utes, and Aggies get ready for the upcoming season, nobody will bring you better coverage of the teams you can't live without than the KSL Sports Zone. With daily updates from camps and interviews with all the coaches and players, your home for the best coverage of college football is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Soccer Radio headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary, 801-899-7600, or visit their website at trajanwealth.com. DJ PK, a lot has happened in the last 3.5 hours. We have heard many things. Greg Wrubell, BYU play-by-play broadcaster, just joined us. Barry Trammell, sports columnist for the Tulsa World. Talked to him about the CBS sports projections. 4 of the 7 riders picked the Utes to go to the conference title game. 4 of the 7 also picked Texas Tech, K-State, Arizona State. Looking pretty good in that poll as well. It's pretty much what we've seen from the polls and all that. I thought the thing he said that stuck with me, which is both good and bad. It's a mixed bag, as life tends to be, and even sports life, which is all we're talking about here. He said, because he doped out the whole schedule, every game in the Big 12, and he thinks there's going to be a couple teams at 7-2 and another 3 or 4 maybe at 6-3, which will be great for the competition. That'll be entertaining. It'll be great entertainment factor. There'll be a lot of close games, plus there'll be a close race, and both those things are entertaining. But could easily lead to just one bid and more of, the Big 12 isn't really a big-time league, which sucks.
Sure, but there could be a team that goes 8-1. There could be 2 teams that go 8-1.
Yep.
So let's see how that plays out.
He did think that our predictions as media members and all that, I mean, they're always a little dicey because it's preseason, but he pointed out the fact 4 new teams one year, 4 more the next, 2 teams leaving, half the league is brand new, a couple of the powers are gone. He thinks the picks are going to get better over time.
Okay, that sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
But if Cincinnati wins the league,
then all bets are off.
Right.
So looking at the CBS thing and not just worrying about the top 2 spots, but it's like they basically have 7 teams in the top group. They've got BYU and Kansas pretty routinely picked 8-9. And then they got 7 teams in the bottom group. I look at the bottom group, and there are people saying Cincinnati's a dark horse.
I've been saying it.
I don't think. Yeah, you're on the list. But some of the writers in that very piece, same thing. I think.
But I'm more important than them.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And funnier and better looking, and you're on Mount Rushmore all by yourself, with yourself, and they aren't.
I'll allow one other person on there.
But what if a Houston rises up? We saw UCF.
Houston, we have a problem?
Well, Big 12, we have a problem. Houston's good again. I don't think West Virginia will rise up, but I think as a spoiler in any one game they can. I don't know that.
Well, I've been saying that about Arizona all along.
Yeah.
The defensive coordinator for Arizona, Danny Gonzalez, who was
New Mexico's head coach. Yeah. Before that, he was ASU's head defensive coordinator.
And San Diego State. He's a lifer. Good dude. And he had media availability yesterday in Tucson, and he said, hey, why can't we go to the playoff? He said, there was a team last year that picked last that went to the playoff. Of course, he didn't want to name them. So, that's a dramatic swing there, but I get his point.
Nobody thinks Gundy and Oklahoma State are bouncing back. Do you think they could?
Not to the level that we're talking about Utah, because obviously they were as down, speaking of Oklahoma State, as much as you could possibly, and literally losing every game. So I don't think so. But, they could be better than anticipated, but it's a low bar. The way I look at it, though, and what you just said to me, that Kansas and BYU are picked 7 and 8, that is a quality football league.
Yes, it is.
Because I think those are quality football teams.
And they're picked 8 and 9.
8 and 9? Okay. Yep. Yeah. To me, there's something that needs to be said for that. I know you want the bell cow. Is that what they call it at the top?
Bell cow. Yeah,
I get all that. But, man, if every week is a battle and coming down to the end, or not every week, but most of them, because there's so many good teams. The Jazz had a slogan, the strength of the team is the team. I may not be wording it literally, but they were right. They had a good team then.
Right.
They didn't get to where they wanted to go, but it was still a good team. And I think there's something to be said for a depth of a league. And maybe I'm looking at it because we're in the Big 12 now, and so I want to see it, but I'm not paid to promote it. I'm not like your Mark and those folks to where their money depends on it. My money doesn't depend on it at all. And I think that's where you go. A person's motivation is looking where the money's coming from. That'll tell you everything you need to know about a guy's agenda, is where's the money coming from. So I'd like to think, to an extent, I have somewhat of an objective opinion on this. If you have that quality of a team, when you look at those 2 teams that you just mentioned, that says something, man. And I don't know that we're going to be able to look at it and figure it out this year. I think that I get his theory, Trammell's theory, but I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't come to pass completely the way we think it is. It didn't go to form to any degree last year.
Right.
Well, okay, there's brand new. Half the league was new.
Right.
And you had voters who couldn't have named you 5 guys who played for the Sun Devils, right? But now we know. So now we have a better idea. It's the 3rd year for some of these teams. It's the 2nd year for the others. And then the rest of them have all been in it for a good while. So we'll have a better idea. I buy all that. But Cincinnati versus Arizona in the final just shoots that down.
Big time.
So
that would be.
It could happen. I don't think it's outrageous. Or Kansas and BYU. If you're 8th and 9th, that's not close to picking it. Maybe Kansas and Arizona is too outrageous. But
the team we talked about with him, Baylor. Take Baylor. Baylor's in the top 7, but they're in the lower half of the 7. But on paper, their schedule does look easier.
A lower half of the 7 according to who?
7, I'm looking at the 7 CBS guys because that's what we've been talking about.
Because they didn't do a poll this year, so we can't really say that. So you got 7 people is a small sample.
I agree. But it's what we've been talking about this morning. It's what
I don't
we wrote
consider
for the question.
Baylor a dark horse.
Because
the strength of the league. Right. I realize the number may be low, but I don't care. I still don't consider them a dark horse.
And the point needs to be made that when someone is picked, 5th, 6th, or 7th, it sounds like a long way from first place. But last year, the 6th place team was 1 game from first place.
It's a stone's throw.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
How far can you throw a stone these days? I mean, back in the day, I'm sure you and your buddies all went out to the wall and then tried to hit home plate on a bounce. Probably can't do that anymore. Your shoulder would be screaming.
So you're asking... I prefer to skip stones these days.
Oh, okay. Because then you get underhand, submarine.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't put as much pressure on the joint. Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't thrown a baseball
in a long time, yeah.
I still think I could get up to 75 on the gun.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't. If I threw out the first pitch, I wouldn't have to move up.
Okay. I believe that.
Last time I did it, I painted the black.
Had a kid.
And I think,
75 seems like a bit much.
Oh, no.
I'll give you 60.
60?
Maybe 65.
Am I throwing left-handed?
This is going to turn into a bit. You feel a bit coming on, Yak?
60?
We got to get Yak. We got to get...
I can do it underhanded 60.
Actually, that, I believe. I mean, back to the skipping stones, submarine, Kent to Colby, whatever.
I throw my off-speed 75.
No. You throw 175-mile-an-hour curveball. You'll be icing your elbow for a couple of weeks.
No.
Snap.
I still got the hose. I've always had the hose.
I just realized you wanted to say that 5 times real fast. Hey, let's get to the conspiracy theory of the day. Everybody should enjoy this. Why isn't Eric Dickerson heard from more? He's Eric Dickerson. If he wants to be heard from, he can come on this show. He'd be a great guest.
Eric Dickerson. You going to play it, Yak?
And I'll tell you this much here, what I heard from someone that's in the NFL, that the NFL told other, don't draft him, do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source, And he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft
really?
him. Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't going to draft him either. They weren't going to draft him.
Well, they did draft him. So they weren't going to draft him. The NFL tells them not to do it. So I got 2, and then they draft him.
And he's already sold a gazillion uniforms. He sold so many jerseys.
Well, yeah. I mean, that one gal on ESPN, he was wearing Shedeur, even though it was light blue and it said Sanders, number 20.
Remember when Cleveland wore light blue? And me neither. I always thought it was orange and brown.
Or Colorado. Black and gold. You fool. So I can't understand that because everybody wants to win so bad.
I know. Which to that point, though, would explain why, let's assume, to take at face value, his theory is right, and they wait, and finally somebody's like, oh, come on, what are we, crazy? Because everybody wants to win so bad, and it's the most important position in sports.
And what example did they need to make him? What did he do that requires being made an example of? I don't get it.
Blowing off the draft process, I guess, which to me doesn't seem like that big a deal.
Elway wasn't going to go. Manning sat out. Blah 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 blah. Come on, I don't see it. I don't see how he's this big bad guy, and I don't see how. If you want, I know people are saying they're going to scream Kaepernick. Okay, there was some baggage there, and his record as a starter really sucked.
So 2 things with Kaepernick.
And
one,
Sanders doesn't have that.
I see how he cost the owners money, and I get NFL owners do not come between them and their money. And you always say that about any person.
Right.
And the NFL owners have really perfected that. Do I think he was
blackballed? Absolutely.
Right. Now, why did the NFL force out the owner in Washington, Dan Snyder? Because he got between them and their money. He had 2 sets of books. Like, that's a line the NFL has drawn
too?
multiple times. I'm not sure if that was as brutal, but, yeah, I get your point. They did kind of go down that road. I mean, the Washington thing was brutal. He didn't want out, and they made him. And the late Jim Irsay came out and called him out, and it was like, wow, it is on. These guys are going at it in public.
I don't see Shedeur Sanders as damaged goods.
No, and I don't see where he's come between NFL owners and their money. I think he fell because the draft process and the way he treated it, which, to your point, does happen in the NBA, but it doesn't happen quite the same way, and everybody knows why. But the same thing happens. You do drop, but you only drop a little bit, and then you get picked.
And he dropped a lot, but none of that matters now.
Yeah. I was surprised that no one caved to the pressure to win in the second round. You know, you got the second day, you got a day to regroup. Like, really? Can you believe that just happened? We better do this. We need a quarterback. And there are teams now. I mean, we're still watching these teams like New Orleans hasn't picked a quarterback yet. Well, that's because they don't have one. They need to draft one. And I think we're seeing that in other places too. But you get a guy and you buy some time.
And I don't think Shedeur was the answer.
They didn't name him the starting quarterback, and no one's surprised by that. I think what he's done is he's shown in the little bit we saw him in the preseason, you better keep this guy in your roster. If you put him on your practice squad, someone's going to grab him. So, and the chance that he's got a chance to develop into something, and it's way early. We haven't seen that much at the pro level. Played one preseason game.
Everybody has a chance.
Yeah, but some people get their chance with their second or third or fourth team. I think after having used a fourth round pick on him.
I'm talking rookies.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that since you used the fourth round pick on him, you better.
I thought it was fifth.
A fifth round pick on him. But since you used a draft pick on him, and he passed the eyeball test the first time out.
Which to me was zero surprise.
I know, but why waive him now? He's made the team. He's got to make the team.
I thought he was an NFL quarterback last year. I wouldn't say he was Stroud.
There are so many quarterbacks who are dismissed because they're not accurate enough. In the NFL, you have to drop back, plant your foot, throw the ball. It has to come out on time accurately. And there are quarterbacks who, what's his face, from Florida to Indianapolis, quarterback. Richardson, thank you. He's a great athlete. He runs over, but he doesn't drop back, plant the foot, and the ball doesn't come out on time accurate. Well, Sanders, behind a suspect O-line, completes 70% of his passes. Well, if we're downgrading all these guys because they can't do it, maybe you better pick the guy who can do it. Seems obvious.
I think Shedeur Sanders, when it's all said and done, is going to be better than Josh Allen.
No, you don't. It's just stuff you say on the radio. If you want to know why there was a pause there, I literally had to think, is there another Josh Allen? Is there a trick question? That's literally what I was thinking. Was there some Josh Allen 25 years ago who, played in the Big Sky?
Oh, I meant Josh Rosen. My bad.
Oh, see, yeah. Yeah, okay, fine.
I got confused.
Greg Wrubell, you want to hear some more BYU football? Wherever you get your podcasts, and some of you will run to that, and others of you are in your car screaming right now, why would I do that, DJ? Just go to break. I'm sure Yock's telling you to. Well, he is, and I will. Barry Trammell, wherever you get your podcasts as well. Your feedback next. Lots of you tweeting at us. We will get to that next. Stay with us.
And it's all over almost here.
Don't go nowhere.
Hercules is what you were asking me? Hercules? Okay, I got Hercules. Nominate the youth sports volunteer that you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at kslsports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. That's today, just like I said earlier. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, and it's sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals.
DJ and PK, it is time for your feedback. He's back. Do your job and call for Whittingham to be fired. Hashtag fire Whittingham. Hashtag hire Meyer. Well, fire Kyle Whittingham guy didn't die in the offseason, so there's that. We hadn't heard from him in a while.
Is that
another trip around the sun?
Oscar Meyer? Because that's the only Meyer who's going to be coaching
at
right.
Utah. Yeah, Urban's not coming
and
back.
I think the other guy right there, he's a wiener.
Oh, look at you. Question of the morning, and many of you responding to this. 4 of the 7 CBS Sports college football writers picked the Utes to make the Big 12 championship. Ute fans, are you pumped up yet? And Ute in AZ says, I am cautiously optimistic.
I hate that phrase, cautiously optimistic.
I know you do.
That is such a cop-out. Come on, it's sports. Give me something.
A lot of things can happen. A lot of things can go wrong. You're an optimist, but you're not out there with the pom-poms and the
don't give me
and the shades.
That's weak. That's weak. I know that's your go-to thing.
Oh, it really is. I sent him back and said, I'm familiar with that approach. And I gave him the Denzel Washington, my man.
You think the sun is going to come up tomorrow? I'm cautiously optimistic.
Then there's this great gift from the World Series of Poker. I'm all in.
Yeah.
Sil Helmuth, who is a character, probably one people I can name from that thing. It's not even his team. It's turn to bet, and the other guy he's going head-to-head with is like, dude, what are you doing? It's my bet. He's intimidating you, and he's a showman.
Why wouldn't you say they're going to have a great season? If they don't, they don't. So what? You're not putting any money on it.
Big Daddy J-Dog, you guys need to tap the brakes already on anointing Utah as Big 12 champs. You already seen them in the college football playoff. Come on now.
I already see him in the Final Four.
There it is. Ryan, no Kool-Aid drinking here. Wrong fan base. Nice. The rivalry in all things, including preseason predictions.
Not true. Utah fan base is fired the freak up.
Tyson goes right to Denny Green's meltdown. You want to crown him? That was about the Bears, wasn't it? Nobody wants to crown the Bears.
They think they lost a Monday night game or something.
Yeah.
The Cardinals did.
We played them in week 3 of the preseason. Everybody plays their starters. That was back then. U State Iceman. 4 out of 7 CBS riders. That's a mind-blowing 57.14%, folks. You won't believe what this means.
I think it means it means everything. I'm going to Vegas right now.
Wild Turkey, as a Ute fan for 45 years, it feels like we're one Dampier injury away from the program unraveling. This trend the last few seasons makes me worry that if we can't keep pace, we'll lose our grip on top in-state recruits and inevitably slide into the role of BYU's little brother.
I think you have lost your grip. You had a strong-hold on it.
Yep. But it's a new era now?
Yeah. That doesn't mean you're not going to get them,
right.
But it's not so obvious. Well, if I want to be big time, I need to go to the U of U.
Right. And kids are more willing to go out of state, so it's not just a two-team race here for the top recruits.
Oh, it's a fight to get everybody.
Right.
Whoever you get, you got to work at it.
Right. Plenty of people are headed other places as well.
But there's no reason why you can't get those guys. So it's not like forget it. It's gone. It's just before it was the place to be, and now it's evened out. And Yak has got something he wants to play, and it better be complimentary to me because I'm getting tired of being bashed by these things.
Okay, 2 things caught my ear with your interview with Greg Wrubell. First of all, Wrubell, way to go. That's such a college kid move, getting married on your birthday. Now your poor wife has to think about you on her day. Wow. Second of all, so makes me feel like Wrubell might have a little bit of short-sightedness syndrome, because when you talked about filling in the corners of the stadium, the dude went right to the seats, right to the amount of people. It's like, bruh, look around. Look at the NFL. Look at the rest of the college stadiums. This is what I'm talking about, Ruby. Dude, we're not talking about seats. We're talking about entertainment. We're talking about restaurants. We're talking about experience items in the corner, smattered with some seating. It's plenty loud enough. We're talking about making it more cool, upscaling. Come on, Wrubell. Come on, buddy. Get with us. Love you guys. Love him.
I actually agree. No shot against Greg. But, I'm not concerned about capacity. I'm concerned about amenities and all the stuff that's available because it is prehistoric.
Some type of premium seating, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. You know what both Arizona schools are doing? They're putting luxury boxes on the field now rather than
people want to be closer to the action.
Redo the stadium and blah, 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 and they're going to charge big money for that.
Yep.
And I mean, BYU went down that road with the tent, but that you got to go, you got to walk over there, and you always see the start of the third quarter, no one's sitting there. They got to figure out a way to incorporate it as part of the game experience. You know, you go to stadiums and you don't have to go order food because if you're in the high roller section, they come, they
bring it to you.
You give your order, and then but all that type of stuff. It's not about, for me anyway, I agree. It's not simply increasing the
capacity.
Yeah.
It's about premium seating.
Because that's where you charge
and
the
making
money.
Right. And when the Utes did it, they did increase capacity a little bit, but they definitely increased their premium seating massively.
Yeah, and that was desperately needed all the way around. That south end zone spiel is really sweet.
Yeah.
And there'll be other stuff that'll come along. Take advantage of it, man. If people are willing to pay, take their money.
Take their money. Had that talk yesterday with somebody. I think it fell on deaf ears.
No.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5 The Zone. We're all done. But Jake and Ben are just about ready to get started. Right here, next on The Zone.